we talked about special dogs, and you mentioned Hawk, and you talked about him as, that dog that was probably, if you've seen pictures of him or if you saw him in the flesh, if you were lucky enough to do that, you would look at this dog and he was just standing there, just proud, like, here I am, go ahead and try not to look at me.
Right. That harmony.
But he had a sense of humor and he had a sense of celebrity. And you shared a story about him that I think was quite special.
Okay, I'll tell that story. Yeah, in the old days, the Smooth Collie Association had conventions around the country, and breeders would volunteer their place. And so it was really wonderful. You could kind of go into their home, into their setting, see how they do things, share ideas, and have the Smooth Collie convention. And then the next year you didn't know where it would be next. So one year, Eva went to Pebble Ledge, where she took beautiful pictures at the convention. And my turn came when the convention was in California. And I went to, it was at Sandy Tuttle's
Lucky
place.
you.
Lucky
Oh, darn, Mom.
I thought I was missing out because I missed out on Pebble Ledge, but then I felt differently when I got this one. We took turns, yeah. So in California, I went to Sandy's place. There were probably 25 people in her living room, and 2 couches and a picnic table in the kitchen, which was interesting, also part of the story. And Hawk was a house dog. He was never, shipped by the air. He always went by van wherever Sandy went. He lived with her all the time. So he was in the house loose. And bless her heart, I love Sandy Tuttle, but she was not a trainer. She was like an anti-trainer. And so Hawk could do no wrong, of course, and anything he wanted to do.
Well, so he was Hawk.
Which he showed us all when they started to put food out on the picnic table, and he got up on the bench part, walked on the bench, up onto the top of the table, and looked at everything and decided, oh, it's not my food, And we were all relieved when he got off again. Because she didn't say that, what are you doing? Get off the table, Nobody would say that to Hawk,
And nobody said it, 20 people.
And nobody said it. No, we all just watched in awe, sort of dumbstruck. And then the meeting started. Everybody was seated with their drinks, and Hawk said, oh, the attention is all over that part of the room, so I'm going over there. And of course they were on his couch. So he started by putting his front feet up on the couch at the end. And there were probably, 6 people sitting, 5 people sitting on the couch together. And it wasn't enough just to have his feet up, because obviously he wants to get up, so what do? You move over. He's a celebrity, his house. So everybody moves down a little bit, and he gets up on the couch, and he's sitting there listening to the meeting, and just watching, and being petted and appreciated by everybody. He's like, it was like traveling with the Beatles or somebody who went to a show, and he was in the parking lot, like that, bees to honey. Everybody would look, can I pet him?
Right.
It's Hawk. Yeah, right. So that was kind of what was happening at this meeting. And he's sitting there watching, and he thinks it's time to lie down. And so he sort of scoots closer because there's not enough room. He's a big dog. He's probably 90 pounds easily. And it's a lot of weight leaning against your shoulders, so everybody scoots down again. And instead of just stretching out, he scoots down too. So now there's empty space on the couch on the other side of Hawk, and everybody's squeezed. And I don't know, he was such a character. I think he knew who was around him. And one member of the group was Lucienne Reese. And Lucienne had a dog named Glenn Giles, who was Sailor, who was in competition with Hawk in the same years of the showroom. And so there's this little friendly rivalry going on. And Lucienne was at the end. Lucienne was next to Hawk. That's right. She was the one right next to him. Everybody else was to the left. So I don't know if he really knew Lucienne from other experiences of meeting her, but he gave her a treatment this day because somebody at the end of the couch got up and left and moved to a chair. And so, yeah, there was more space, you would think. No. Hawk scoots over and leans against Lucienne's shoulder again, and she's like, would you move down, please? So everybody moves down again. So this went on, and nobody through the whole meeting stopped and said anything to him.
Right.
Like, Hawk, get off the couch. These are our guests. No. We wouldn't ever do that for Hawk. So it got funnier and funnier. Pretty soon everybody was just roaring with laughter. And Lucienne was now at the end of the couch squeezed against the armrest. And the rest of the couch was empty, and Hawk was pressing against her. And she finally goes, oh, God, gets up and leaves and goes to a chair. And you could just see this grin on Hawk's face. Oh, he was just pleased with himself. Now he stretches out on the whole couch. And he was happy.
Which is where he wanted to be.
Yeah, but how he did it, so subtly, just so clearly, yeah, it was wonderful.
Well,
that was Hawk.
They are intelligent dogs.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
And I still wonder, though, if it had been a different person he was sitting next to, would he have done that?
Hawk's record-breaking win was at our national, and where was that national?
Massachusetts.
You remember the year?
I think it was 70, wasn't it?
He was a remarkable dog, an outstanding dog, and he went over one of the top roughs in the country.
Right.
From Lick Creek. Dorset Stern.
Right. Well, that was, in a way, it was a little unfair to the rough. But the thing was that Hawk was such a character.
Yeah.
I mean, we shipped him back, all the time, but we shipped him back and forth, and there were times I went to Kennedy to pick him up, and the guys there had turned him loose, and I went in one time, and when I said, gee, is anybody here? Hawk stands up on the other side of the counter, you know.
Right.
And it's like, here I am, Mom, you know. But now I lost my place. What was I telling you? We did bring him back, and we started handling, and he had a fan base almost. Right. So when we were showing him in Worcester, they waited until the end after he had won the breed, and they were all sitting there. And in all fairness, they had done the smooths first and the roughs later. So the rough had been through a lot, you know. Right. And it was Sven Jensen judging. And I knew Sven had already put up a winner's dog, a California dog. And I thought if I had any chance, which I probably didn't, we're sunk, you know. So when we got up there and I was getting ready to move him, I was sitting there and I'm trying to think, what do I do? So it suddenly hit me what to do. And I leaned over and I spoke to Hawk. Well, he went down and back like, you know, raring to go. He comes back and he skids to a halt in front of Sven. And Sven looked at me and he said, you know, I don't want to do this. And I said, thank you, sir.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And when I took him over to the side, it was funny because Mrs. Long came over and she said, all right, I've watched you handled many a time, but what did you say to him? And I said, you noticed that? And she said, yeah. And the background on that was that Sandy Tuttle raised bantams, but Sandy Tuttle's neighbor raised fighting cocks. And Sandy was rather lax in where her chickens were. So I know I went out there several times where there were clutches on the front porch, right, and they were the cross.
Oh, boy.
And Sandy's mother was very, very soft-hearted.
Right.
So Sandy would wait until she was away, and then she'd take him out and get him to chase the chickens. So when I stood up there at the end and I wanted him to really, put out, I just leaned over and said to him, "Hawk, go get the chickens." And boy, he went down there looking for chickens.